Oh, g'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, this one's a bit of a special video, and I say special, a UAVfutures special, because it's going to be a bit different, because we're checking out, I'm saying because a lot, because, we are checking out the Eachine Wizard, the TS115, and if you want to see my full review, I'll put a playlist that should pop up here. That's where I reviewed it in, I guess, its original condition, but what we've got today, I've really got to take my hat off to Eachine, because look, they make some great stuff, they make some rubbish, sometimes they get the price right, sometimes they put the wrong components in, and that's exactly what happened with the V1. But what I've got here, in the V2, we can actually fly it. They've put in some new components, and I think I've got the V1 over here. It's got some different pretty props on here. I love the powertrain they had on this thing. It flew really, really well. So if you go and watch that, it flew really well, but we had this to say about it.
This camera is oh, it's just laggy. It's terrible. Couldn't race this around a track. That is absolute Don't they fly these
I can feel that lag straight away. Feel it, see it, sense it. It's problematic.
And as you can see, that latency in the V1, we pretty much said don't buy it because it's unflyable with that latency. If you can't see, you can't fly. Now what we've got today, this is the V2, and they have fixed up quite a lot of things with a new camera, removed that latency. We've got some good DVR in there. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to quickly stick it on the bench and show you some of the differences, because it's not a full bench breakdown, because we've already pretty much done that in the part one. We're just going to look at the differences, and then we're going to take it out to the field, fly it around, and we're going to show you why Eachine really did a good job. They finally listened to what we were sort of saying. Hey, we don't like that. That part's junk. Fix it, and then it'll be good. Well, that's actually what they've done. So then we'll take it out, fly it around, Crash Test Cal, Grumpy Trev, you know, we'll fly it around, show you some HD footage, because it did strap a GoPro to it, and I think you guys are going to be pretty impressed. And for the price, like, I think it's about the $220, $230, definitely. I'll put a link down below. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know. But we'll find out, you know, why this is a pretty decent performance racer. Right up, let's stick it on the bench and get started. Alrighty, so here they are on the bench. And look, this is going to be very quick because I've already done a full review of pretty much what the text and the specs were like. I just want to show you some of the differences. So this is the first version that I had, you know, that we crashed. It flew well, but we didn't like the latency that we got in there. And that was because of the onboard DVR recorder was doing some stupid things. So let's look at the actual differences that we get on the V2, and straight away you can see these two massive caps we've got built in right here. They weren't on the original one. This reduces the noise by a whole lot. Let me tell you, the noise on here is beautiful. There's no sort of noise coming through whatsoever. There used to be this silly rocker switch on the back somewhere that controlled how the DVR works, and I didn't like that. It was very difficult to press. This one doesn't have that. You've just got a little button, which is, I think it's over on this side. Where is that little button? This one, it's just got a little button right there, but one thing I like, it just works straight away. If you got the SD card in, you plug it in, it starts flashing blue. The DVR, the onboard DVR records first time. You don't really have to muck around and do some switches, any of that stuff. It's great. It just works, which is how it should be. Now, the other big difference here, they put some injection molded sort of, you can see this one's 3D printed, this little case. This one's injection molded, so it's going to be a little bit tougher and a big one. They had such a generic camera on here that it was okay, but it wasn't great. They've got a run cam in here, you know, with a 2.3mm lens, so the FPV feed is delicious. The colors are nice. You've got a very, very good quality camera in there. Now, look, it's not perfect. They still didn't put a little spacer in here, which is what I'm going to recommend people to do. They need to fix that, and I don't like the stress that's going to get on the PDB board. So they're the differences on the bench. That's not what we're interested in. What we really want to do is take it out, rip it around, and I want to show you guys how much fun this drone is, you know, how much fun this drone can be, and why, once you got rid of that latency, which has happened in here, why this thing absolutely screams. So let's cut out to the field, rip it around, have some fun after looking at those differences, and check it out in 3, 2, 1.
Rightio, out here in the field, about to rip it around, a little bit different, a bit more special, because we're going to be checking out, this is take 2 of the new Eachine Wizard, the TS115, and they've actually done some improvements. So last time we had terrible latency. That's what we're here about. We're going to show you some, I guess, footage of this thing ripping around, because it did fly really well, but we just couldn't see, and that meant we couldn't fly. Today in the field, we're hoping they've fixed it, so we'll test it out, hand it over to Grumpy Trev, Crash Test Cal, see what they think, and then the big one, we're going to hit it with the speed gun. And Cal, last time what happened? Do you remember? You were standing over there. We went to I think we went straight to 6S.
That's right, and it imploded.
We were punching towards you, so we'll see how it goes. We've got some 5S batteries today anyway, and we'll see if it holds up in the tune. All right, let's do it and show you guys some HD footage of this thing ripping around. Okie dokie, here we go. On board, checking out some HD, and look, it is a little bit problematic trying to stick a GoPro on here, but we've got it on here, and I really feel like this track wasn't big enough. So, you know, as this thing's coasting around, just listen to the throttle. It's not really hitting max speed, and we're definitely going to be checking that out a little bit later with the speed run. But on the actual flight characteristics around this track, it is very, very smooth. You can see it's very stable, not many oscillations whatsoever, and they've really done a fantastic job because look, the original V1, I love these motors, the ESCs, everything came together really well, but you just couldn't see because of that terrible camera, and that's been completely solved with this. So I'm very happy to recommend this. This one, it's going to perform flawlessly out of the box, and that's what our quads really should do. I mean, if you're going to buy a drone nowadays, you expect it to have a fantastic tune. You want it to be smooth. You don't want any oscillations, and that's what you get with this. Now, the camera's very clear. You do have a pretty good OSD. They fixed up some of the OSD problems as well. So, look, overall, I'm kind of really impressed how Eachine, they went back to the drawing board after the criticism, and then traditionally, they're not a company that's known for making revisions. They usually just bang something out, and then that's it, and the consumer gets stuck with it. But they've actually done their homework or listened a little bit with the V2, and look, I think they've really fixed it up and turned an average quad into sort of a race-ready monster. You could definitely take this thing out, rip it around. If you've got the skills to pay the bills, well, you're going to get some very fast, very smooth lap times. And I can't wait to show you guys in the speed run. You know, drop your comments down below before we even get there. How fast do you think this thing is going to go? Anyway, what we should do, we're getting a bit off course there, getting a bit wild. But let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks, because look, he's actually been flying around. He's got one of these as well. He's been flying his for a little while, and I know he's a big fan. And the only other thing too, Eachine, if you're watching this again and you're going to make a third revision, please just put a carbon plate on the bottom and, you know, give us a separate flight controller. We don't want a built-in flight controller with our bottom sort of, what do you call that, bracing plate, please. That'd be my last little tip. And then, look, I don't think I could really fault it. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks.
Rightio GT. Now this one's a little bit different because I've been away, and while I was on holidays, you got your one right here, so you've got one of the new versions as well. So if you want to go watch Trevor's full review, he should have a little card, should pop up here. But we're going to get you to fly around. I'm going to get your thoughts while you're flying around on the new upgraded Wizard. But what did you think of it anyway?
Well, they've done it, they've fixed it. It's a great little quad to fly now. You can actually see where you're going without any latency. So yeah, kudos to them, because it's a great job. It's made a really average drone really, really good.
All right, so you think Eachine definitely listened to some of the criticisms in the last reviews?
Oh, they have. You know, they've put a decent camera back in it now. It's got a run cam 2 in it now, and a completely new DVR, which works really, really well, records very well, and no latency. I mean, zip latency.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to get you to fly around a pack and then just tell me sort of what it's like on the sticks, all right?
Yep.
Rightio GT. So this is going to be a bit of a take 2 for you, because you've already been flying yours around, but I guess give me, what's it like on the sticks?
It's fantastic. It's very responsive. There's no latency. That's the biggest killer for this one when it first started. And it goes like a cut cat. It really does. I really enjoy flying this. It's hard to see at the moment because the sun's going down on us, and it's a bit hard to do the track, but look, it's really responsive. It's, you know, I just can't praise this thing enough. They've listened to us this time. They've fixed all the faults up with it, or all the ones that mattered about flying it. And yeah, I really love it. And it's cheap. Yeah, it's $200 US, which is I think about $250 Australian. Well worth the money this time, and it really does go. I mean, you can fang this thing. It just wants more. You know, you just run out of room with it. Actually, it goes that fast. I can't praise it enough. So no oscillations at all. There's no interference. It's just, well, look, it's a great little package. It's got the run cam 2 in it now, and that's as clear as. It's a great little camera. DVR works really well, and the OSD is great too. Like, nice and clear, very clear picture.
So I guess give this the Grumpy Trev rating out of 10 in terms of performance.
This is up there. This is really, I'd have to give it a 10. I reckon they've done the right job with it. Yeah, I really do like it for such a cheap quad.
Well, but no, we've got to separate that. So performance out of 10 has nothing to do with price.
Okay, all right. Look, for performance, it's going. It's just going. I really got to give it a 10. I just had the handles really nice out of the box. I mean, you don't get too many quads like this that will go as hard as this thing is going. And
what about value for money out of 10?
It's value for money out of 10. Look, I give it a 9. It's nearly up there. Yeah, I'll give it a 9 for value, because it's good.
Who would you recommend it to?
Look, I recommend this to anybody. Anyone that's starting off, you could fly this. And as a second quad, this is a great cheap quad to have in your backpack in case you break your other one.
Do you reckon it's more suited to freestyle or races or who?
Oh, I don't know. Look, it's got plenty of punch. It's, I reckon you could use this for anything. It just floats. It's, yeah, I know. When you see the DVR on Stu's, look, I'm floating around now. I love it. The punch out in this thing is just great.
It sounds impressive. All right, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to let you finish that pack because that's actually, you're flying around your one. So, nice. Thanks very much, Trev.
No worries, mate.
Radio CTC with the biggest smile in FPV. What do we got today?
We've got a pretty reasonable offering here from Eachine.
Eachine. Who calls it Eachine, mate?
Well, Eachine.
Anyway.
Chine for China. It comes from China.
Anyway,
Eachine.
let's get back on with the review. So anyway, with the new Wizard, what do you reckon in first impressions? Because I know you've given it a bit of a spin before, but what do you reckon when you picked it up out of the box and having a look at it?
It looks great. It looks a treat, especially with the paint job they've put on it. That looks beautiful. Obviously, it's a frame that's reminiscent of the Floss. Some drawbacks with that frame, I thought, and they're also here in this frame as well.
Yep. So if you want to watch that, you can go watch that card that was in earlier. But what did you think of the original one, just to sum that up?
The original Wizard?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
Sorry, the original one of the V1 of these.
Well, obviously it was unflyable because of the latency that the camera and DVR system introduced to the system. So
Yep.
that seems to have been remedied now. So we've got something that really burns and can be controlled and flown.
All right.
So it's pretty exciting to get here because we saw that it had heaps of potential, and to actually see that potential realised is a fantastic thing. So look, it's an interesting quad. It goes well. The only thing that really does kind of worry me a little bit is how they've used this bottom sandwich plate here. They've used it as a stress member. It contains a lot of electronics, including your flight controller as well. So look, in a high-speed collision, you're not just going to break an arm, you're potentially going to break your whole flight controller as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely a point of failure in there. That should be fixed as well. I wish they fixed that.
Yeah.
Should we put a pack on and rip it around and get your impressions of the upgraded version?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, Cal.
All right, I'll just say even before I take off, the picture's good, the focus is good, no complaints with the image. Yeah, one thing I will say is that it hovers easily. I'm not putting a ton of throttle in to part ways with gravity, so that's great. I've got some really great punch. It feels great actually. Oh, it feels great. There's heaps of juice. Oh, it's definitely got a
Actually just
great
made me.
punch.
You just made me change my underwear.
No, look, it's got great punches, just gobs of power. So, and look, it's really well tuned. It's very compliant, well behaved. You can race this straight out of the box. There's no doubt about it. There's no PID tuning required. There's the only thing I would say is get some good quality batteries because you're going to need them with this rig, because it can suck. It can suck some juice. They're great motors. I think they're 2306s, and boy, they're doing a great job, I got to say. Eachine have done a great job with this. But like I said, you know, I don't know how well it would hold up in a really big high-speed collision, but any quad's going to be challenged by a really hard impact. But look, I think you're going to break more than an arm if you do have a high-speed impact with
So
this.
you're worried about that flight controller?
Yeah, big time. And if you break that, your day's over for sure, and you might be waiting a month to get some kind of replacement parts. So I think that's an issue, but for the price, it's perhaps something we can overlook and just try not to smash it at high speed. So look, it flies just so well. So the way it flies, there's no complaints whatsoever. It's great.
All right. Any messages to Eachine about sort of revising their product? Or?
Yeah, well, just put a piece of carbon plate in place of that PDB and raise the PDB up, and so it's not a stress component anymore and we don't have to worry about it. That would be great. And then you'd have an absolute winner in my eyes. Look, it is a winner anyway. That's the only real criticism I can level at it, to be honest, and it's not that pertinent.
What's Cal's famous 4 words to sum up the new V2 of the Eachine Wizard?
Eachine are definitely getting better.
That's 5 words.
Well, I'll take out the definitely.
All right.
They're really lifted their game in terms of out of the box, ready to fly quads. Man, some of these companies are starting to really do a great job.
Thanks, Cal.
No worries.
All right, ladies and gents, what do we reckon this is going to go? The Eachine New Wizard, the V2 miles per hour on a 4S pack.
I think it's going to do 100 mile an hour.
Okay, bang on.
Oh, 105, there you go.
All right.
I'll go for 103.
Okay, well, I'm going to go 104. All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Radio CTC, so we were about to do the speed run. The battery on the GoPro went flat. So we're out here again. There's no wind, ready to suit up. I can't remember what the numbers on the screen were. We'll flash them on the screen. Ready to suit up and give another crack at the Eachine Wizard TS115.
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys. We're about to do the speed run for the Eachine Wizard. Now, this thing is a revised edition, I guess, a version 2. So they've fixed up a few things, and all right, let's see what this aircraft can do in terms of speed. Yep, let's do it. Now we're on 4S. We got the hulky props. There's no wind. 78 mile an hour. Not too bad for a first run. 95. Oh, I almost didn't get that. I wasn't ready for it. 96. That's respectable, guys. That's almost 100 miles an hour. And look, I think we could get some pretty good improvements. Get away, you mongrel. I'll kick you into kingdom come. Pretty respectable. We're using the hulky props and whoa, 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 whoa. Alright. Oh, you smart ass. You mongrel. Alright, safe for now. So there you have it, guys, the speed run for the Wizard. Pretty damn respectable.
Radio Cal, what was our top speed?
96 mile an hour.
And that's you know, a little bit still very, very fast. But one thing I want to point out too to the viewers is we didn't actually have an antenna on that run because look, I did leave it at home, and we're not sure what the weather's going to be like by the time I get home and get back here. So we did it without it, but it still held up pretty strong. So that was, I guess, a good little test for the VTX. If you accidentally, I don't recommend that, but if you do plug it in without the antenna just for a split second, it looks like it's going to be okay. All right, thanks, Cal.
Alrighty, so there it is. There's my, I guess, my special review special. Again, the second look at the Eachine Wizard TS125, and it's pretty rare that I go back and look at a quad, I guess, for a second time round, but this one, I've really got to give it to them. Hats off, because they did make a fantastic racer. Now, it's not perfect. I really wish they'd change. If you're listening again, Eachine, we said this in the part 1 though, please change that bottom PDB, make it so it's a flat carbon plate, and if it just had a flight controller on here, then this would be a wicked beast of a machine, because I think it's going to go, it does go very, very quick, but that's the only point I'm worried about. In a really, really hard crash, are you going to get a stress fracture through that flight controller? But if you're worried about latency, it's fear no more. It's definitely disappeared. This thing screams and rips. It is going to eat up your batteries because it has so much power, but that comes at the cost of your batteries. So you're going to need some good batteries to fly it around, but you could definitely take this out to a race course, rip it around, and if you've got the skills to pay the bills and bring home the bacon, this thing, it will do it for you, because look, it does feel beautiful in the air. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. What do you think about Eachine finally going back and revising something? Because we've wanted them to do that for a long time, so I really, really like this one. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.
Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.